Welcome to the Patricia Joe Grover Show, where we turn believers into achievers. And today with me, I have Sonia Clark. Now, Sonia,
Oh,
now Sonia is a prosperity leadership creator, founder of the SoniaClark.com entrepreneur programs and lead business education for corporate training, a podcast host of Prosper with Sonia Clark, and an interviewer of formidable leaders. Having built a $15 million product in 10 months and with over 29 years of experience in training, coaching, teaching, and mentoring more than 2,800 entrepreneurs, business owners, and staff, you could say that Sonia enjoys a challenge, thrives with innovation, and loves to further develop people and businesses for success. Sonia's ethos is paying it forward, positively impacting global communities, and she donates 10% of her profits to charities. So Sonia Clark is the one and only prosperity EntreLeadership business coach. Welcome, Sonia.
hi, welcome, and thank you.
There you go. So glad you could join us, and all the way from Australia.
All the way from Australia. It's such a long way away. So, yeah, thank you very much for having me here on your show.
Great, great. I am so glad because I'm in Maine in the US and you're in Australia. So this is fabulous. It's early morning for me and it's late at night for you, but we are making
It's
it
late
work.
at night.
Yes.
We are. It's late
Awesome.
at night. I've got all the lights up and I've got the shadows coming in, and I've had the caffeine to keep me going. It's not too late. It's around 10:30 at night here, so it's not too bad.
There,
Melbourne, Australia. So, and I've got the heater going and the dog near me, and I'm nice and warm.
wonderful. That's so awesome to hear. Hey, so what can you tell us? Can you tell us what EntreLeadership and what is it and how can it help build prosperity?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It is a bit of a new thing, and EntreLeadership was originally coined by Dave Murray. Oh gosh, now I've got his name wrong. But it's about entrepreneurship and about leadership and putting it together and melding it together. So it's a little bit of a new theme. There's a lot of fundamentals as part of it that is still there as far as being entrepreneur as well as being a great leader. But it's now taking leadership to a whole new level for business and for business owners. So for business owners, as well as the business, as well as staff, and being a whole lot more holistic and very 360. So it's also involving clients and customers and stakeholders. So it's very much around the win-win-win. So win-win-win is around the win for, like, say, you as the owner, and the win for the end user being the customer or client. But also the third win can be several things, whether it's usually it's a common denominator between the two wins. And it can be something like whether it be a charity that you donate to, or it could be for the greater good of, and whatever that is. So it's usually that extra common denominator where everyone is being focused that is the ultimate reason why people are going ahead and doing their work, their business. So entrepreneurship and leadership, and about to achieve that, the third win being for the benefit of or the greater good of whatever that might be. So it's just taking the fundamentals, like I said, of entrepreneurship as well as leadership to the next level for businesses for the future.
Right. To me, that sounds like the why. It sounds like the
Exactly.
why, but it also sounds like service and being of service with everything. And that ties in so well with what I do and understand. So it is perfect for the show. Perfect. And
Absolutely. Look,
congratulations
yeah,
on
thank
putting this
you.
together, because you're going
Thank
to be able
you.
to
Yeah.
help so many people be able to achieve their dreams and goals by doing that.
Yeah, thank you. I just thought of the man that generated it. It was Dave Ramsey. But there
Okay.
are other people starting to do it. And it is about being a lot more holistic in the reason why. And it's with, like I said, with that underlying ethos of paying it forward. And it's not, it certainly doesn't have a selfishness, it has a selflessness to it. So it's
Right.
definitely about servant leadership predominantly.
Right.
There's lots of levels to leadership, but at
yes.
the ultimate one being servant leadership is where there's a whole lot more leverage, and that's what it's primarily about. And then the prosperity is, sure, there's about creating money, there's about creating profit, but there's also creating a wellness and very leveraged thought leadership in amongst it all. So it's just taking everything to that next extra level for the benefit of the greater good, that third win, and for everyone and for our future and for society. So you can tell I get passionate about
it. Yes. And that's perfect. I mean, that is something we all should have. We all should have passion for what we're doing. It makes it so much easier. What is it? The old adage saying, never work a day in your life, have it be something that you love doing so that it doesn't seem like work. And there you go. That's it. And when you're servicing people while you're doing that, what gets any better?
Yeah, true. There's a couple of schools of thought out for that, and with that old adage that you said, and there are certainly some people say, look, I don't believe in that, because it doesn't always mean that you'll have enough money generated from that at the end of the day. So this is taking that old adage, but looking at it and going, okay, well, let's create some prosperity there, but let's share it around and let's pay it forward without any intent on it, without an expectation, and just knowing that from where your heart is at, that heart-centeredness, and from those movements of doing that it's infectious, just like joy is infectious, and it continues to grow from there. So it's role modeling at its best.
Right. And when you said joy, that just, you and I had spoken before, and we have a commonality with several things. But, what I say, my PJG, because it's the Patricia Joe Grover show, but my P is live purposefully, live joyfully, and be grateful, and be grateful, so it all ties together. So that's fantastic. And joy
definitely.
it's important to live with joy. It really is.
Absolutely. Look, there can be joy in everything, that silver lining, no matter how awful it is. I often try, teaching my kids that, even if it is doing the dishes, let's find the joy. Even if it is doing the toilets, let's find the joy. There can be lots of different ways that you can look at things, really. And it's the same as business. There's always going to be horrible things that happen. And whether there's the gauntlets we have to run in life, there's business, there's customers, there's, when life throws things at you like this COVID, this how we actually are is how we're going to how we react, how our positivity is, and our mindset is to how we will move forward and how we can help ourselves rather than self-sabotage. So, always trying to look for the joy. I mean, I've gone through depression myself. There's other people that I know. There's still always joy to be found somewhere, and it's about digging that up, and that helps with resilience. It helps with keep moving forward when life does throw those curveballs at you.
Exactly. Because life is going to happen to all of us, whether we're prepared for it or not. But the best way to do it is with a positive mindset.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Okay. So what is the connection between Entre-Leadership and achieving goals?
Wow. I mean, that's a really deep subject, How much time do we have?
Oh, we've got plenty of time, because we are here to help viewers maybe get unstuck from where they may be, to create, we want them, because again, we turn believers into achievers. So we want them to believe that they are capable, and
Absolutely.
hearing us may just do that.
Absolutely. And look, we all can have several different reasons why we're not achieving. We do have to start believing in ourselves a whole lot more. And at the end of the day, really at the very end of the day, you are the only person that can blow your own trumpet. You can have other people blow that trumpet, but they're not always going to be blowing that trumpet. And it can be for several different reasons why people can be that way, and they can also be brought up that way. I was brought up that way, but also because both my parents were from different cultural backgrounds. So one of the cultural backgrounds was that you just let people walk over you, you give to them, and no matter what. And the other one, I was brought up to be a lady, no matter what, even if you know that they're incorrect, you let them go on and you let them say whatever, do whatever. You always put yourself last, because that's being a lady. And a lot of the times that means that you're not really achieving a lot of the goals that you want to achieve, really. So how do you come from that point to then moving forward? And you can have other people help you, but at the end of the day, it still comes down to you helping yourself. So then there's the whole mindset around that. And then there's the whole soulfulness around that as well. And then there's the self-leadership around that. And a lot of the times we don't always know how to be the best of leaders for ourselves until we actually can really look more at others as examples, and also to be a whole lot more reflective and look at how we have been and look at that as lessons, and then decide, where do I want to go? It's exactly the same with goal setting. Where do I want to go? If I'm an archer and I've got the bow and arrow, where do I want the arrow to hit? And we do need to have a goal there. So we could have a couple of different goals there if we want, if we're not feeling too good. And when we're learning that, we might start a bit closer and practice how to put the arrow in and how to draw it, and dissect everything down so that we can do the ready, aim, fire. On the same token, that whole ready, aim, fire can sometimes, for some of us who are perfectionists, or people that procrastinate and put things off, we then need to learn how to go ready, fire, aim. So at least we can know, well, what does that mean? And if we can create a safe area that we could do that, where we can go ready, fire. Oh, okay, if I'm firing here and I'm holding my arm that way, that means my arrow's going that way, not that way. It's the same thing as in business and in personal life. We need to give ourselves a safe place and a safe way in which we can action out our plans, so that we can do that little bit of a trial and error, that testing, that tweaking, to give ourselves a bit of criticism, but to also have other people that we can rely on giving us honest feedback to help give us a critiquing and go backwards and forwards. And then I think that it's also, I've got a frog in my throat.
That's okay. Yeah, me with allergies. You can tell that I have got some allergies going on. Yeah, exactly.
And then it comes down to that you need to know how to go about testing and measuring, and how to keep getting better and better at it. So like for people that say have done some sort of sport, it's exactly the same way for those muscles. When you're learning, I used to, a long time ago, much skinnier me, much younger me, I used to do dance. So I did different types of dance, and I did the ballet, and I also did dance that was competitive, and we did different types of dance within it. So there are times where we have to know what is the objective, what is that main thing that we need to be, we need to get on the stage and off the stage in 3.5 minutes. We need to be able to connect with the audience. We need to connect with the judge. We need to execute our work well. We need to have feeling. We need to work in with a group, whether we do it as a group or whether we do it as a solo. But let's say if we're a group, and how we work and coordinate everything and not let other people down. That means we're not letting ourselves down. Or if we're doing solo work, how do we not let ourselves down? And I can certainly tell you stories around that too. But, and then it's about, so that's a bit of the really fire aim. And knowing that, and so there's different ways that you would break it down to how to achieve those goals. So there's the big way of looking at it and doing it, and then there's breaking it down to little tiny sections, and just that, to just work that muscle, just that muscle. And then those muscles with a couple of the other ones around it. And then over and over and over, and repetitiveness. The same as when I also learned piano. Those ruddy scales. Did you ever do scales?
No.
It's a bit like maths and algebra. Why?
The only instrument I ever learned how to play was the radio.
Okay. But what it's about is to learn the skill set within that, and to how to critique yourself and how to apply it in a different way, and that's all problem solving. Exactly. All of those sorts of things, whether some of the listeners, whether they've done sports or whether they've done music, and I'm trying to paint pictures for people, so to get it across to people, achieving those goals, there's different approaches and there's different ways you look at it. And even if it's just for that one goal, there's several different approaches for that one goal. I'm a bit of a natural reverse engineerer. I never knew it until I was much older that there was such a thing. I just thought I was weird and I learnt different. And what that means is I have to know the major objective, and I have to know those key, they're called milestones, or those key goals to make up to that before I can get there. Don't tell me A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and teach me A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Tell me, this is the alphabet. Here's 26 of the letters. Right. This is where we're going to get to. Mm-hmm. Let's just learn the first 4. Now, the first 4 are A, B, C, D. Now, the reasons why, because I was a Y kid, I drove everyone nuts. Oh, okay, and then to know why and how were all the little, so that's why I have to be good at knowing that.
Yes.
The same as the goals.
Exactly.
And certainly having the framework. You and I, we actually use the same framework. A lot of people don't use the SMARTER.
Right.
Just the SMART. But we both love SMARTER.
SMARTER, because life happens to everyone, and you have to be able to edit and revise where needed. And that goes into what you were saying as far as being able to track, because that's where you catch yourself before you get too far off track. Is so I teach people to have planning, do planning, and have your planning days built into your calendar and scheduling, so that you can go through that once a week and you say, okay, I'm further ahead than I thought, or I need to make adjustments here. And that's the same thing with tracking your time, with your scheduling, but also your money. If you're tracking your budget and how much you're spending on stuff, it's better to catch that in a shorter period of time than go way off track and go way over budget or something. So, so that all ties together. And those are all the pieces that you were saying, all those small things that work together.
They all add up. And it's certainly, it's knowing how, it's again the bow and arrow. It's about knowing all those little things before even really letting go of the arrow to eventually hit that the goal, the target. There's so many things that are taken into consideration. And then there's the externals. when we're thinking about SWOTs, when we're thinking about internal and external influences, you've got the wind, you've got the sun, you've got all of those other things other than what you think you can control.
Right. And like you said, the SWOTs, because that's what I do working with people too, knowing our strengths, knowing our weaknesses, where our opportunities are, and what our threats are, because if you can control those and really break them down, and that's what it's all about, like you said before, breaking things down. I just
Yep.
use the term that everybody has heard of: how do you eat that elephant one bite at a time? You break it
Yes.
down, and so it's not so overwhelming and scary, because
Yeah.
that's where fears come, and fears will come and overcome you if you let it. But by breaking
Absolutely.
things down, it makes it so much easier to deal with.
Absolutely. Break it down into chunks. And I can often be like that. I've always been, even as a child, as a little bubby, I didn't get up and walk. I got up and ran and fall over, and get up and run and fall over, get up and run and fall over. And that's the way I always was as a child. I don't know where my son got his ADHD from, but even with one of my sewing projects, the first time we could actually pick something back in, I think it was my first year in high school. The first thing we were allowed to do, most people were doing an apron. I've said, no, I want to do a bomber jacket. I want it so that I can wear it. And it was not only a jacket, it was a fully lined jacket. And my mum went, oh my gosh, Sonia, and you've got how many weeks to do this in? I can do it. She goes, Sonia. So anyway, so I learned.
Yeah.
I had people come and rescue me, and because I can't say, yes, sure, do it for me. It's like, no, why? I want to do it. I want to learn it. So sometimes there are people like me that just take on that elephant and don't want to do it in those small little bites. But there is reason to do those small little bites. It does
Right.
help.
But some people have to learn the hard way, and not the easier way. And that is what wisdom, and knowing how to learn from other people's wisdom.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
have a harder time to do that.
Yeah.
And but until we do,
Yeah.
what do? You have to learn from your mistakes. And sometimes, again, those mistakes, you have to, I mean, I myself have done that too. You have to learn from your own mistakes so that you'll be able to move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone learns differently. And this is why I went back, and I was very anti the school system, very anti all of that. I didn't think it was practical, all of those sorts of things. And I actually went to a really good school. I purposely failed things and I'm very persuasive, and persuaded my mum to let me out. I purposely dropped out of school early. I went off and did my careers because, like I said, I learned differently. So I've always had to teach myself a different way of learning. From the age of 14, I've been teaching other people because I just learned a different way. Didn't know what that was or meant. Was teaching other people. I found a lot of the people, the teachers, and that's why I didn't like school, because they would do it that one way back then, and they just wouldn't let me teach myself, or at least if I got out of that in both my dancing careers and also when my first career as a professional was as a hairdresser. I would teach myself that and ended up winning many awards and those sorts of things. And then I wanted to do more because I built businesses, and I loved building businesses. I loved teaching staff, and I loved building businesses. So then I went on and I did some other things. I did sales and all those sorts of things because I was helping other people build micro businesses, and with a job that I had then. And then I thought, look, and my mum was a school teacher, and I said, I'll never be a school teacher. No, never going to be my biggest joke ever. And someone in that job, that sales job that I had, said to me, she said, Sonia, you're so good at teaching people. Why don't you go off and be a trainer assessor? I said, what on earth is that? I don't want to be a teacher. And they said, no, it's about teaching adults in a different way with vocational education. And that's where I learned a lot more about, through all of that, I became a qualified trainer assessor. and how people learn differently, and as adults. And then I went off and I went back to uni, high school, and I ended up teaching so I went and did my MBA, and then I ended up teaching at uni Vic. And my mum was like, "And you said what?"
Exactly.
I'm not a teacher. I'm still not a teacher. So, and then I've taught a whole lot of other corporate people. And so what I've liked is that seeing there's still those common denominators in there, and it's still the basics of it all, apart from communication is the underpinning of it all, goal setting and leadership. That's your magic trifecta.
Exactly.
If you can work that out and be, whether you're a forward engineer or a reverse engineer and do things backward like me, which is apparently it's a skill set.
It is a very good skill set.
Skill for project management.
Right. Exactly.
Imagine
that. Yeah. Imagine that. And you have, but then also having such a good understanding of, and you had said something about it earlier, but you didn't use this term, but I call it our belief windows. And that means when we're children, our adult gives us, what we, gives us that, this, you should be scared of this, or worry about that, that belief window, how we start to envision ourselves in our own world. And that sometimes we have a hard time breaking through that window that, has been bestowed upon us. So as we get older, we start looking at life a different way. And that sometimes that keeps us from stepping out. So I work with people on helping to change our view, that focus, and keep that window, keep it smudge free and keep it clear, so that we can go past and not be locked inside. And that's, what my book is, living outside the box, so that we can live our lives to its fullest potential.
Absolutely. I often say to people, like I said, at the very, very end of the day, only you can blow your trumpet. You've got two choices in life. If you're alive or not alive, and if you're going to be alive, do something with it. And I suppose I'm very thankful that I'm a stubborn child. Was a stubborn child, stubborn person. And one of my mottos is stuff you, but a bit more colourful than that. But I had a lot of people, because believe it or not, I was an introvert and very, very quiet, never said anything, but I wasn't allowed to. So I was brought up that way. And I was then always told, because I thought that a lot of my teachers were stupid, because I could see real life and what goes on in there. And what I've been told at school was very different to what was happening in the real world out there. And I just shut off, and I didn't want to do anything. So I was always told, Sonia, you're not very smart. You'll never really achieve anything great. It's probably good that you are going to drop out of school and go into hairdressing. Throughout the hairdressing, what would you know? You're just a hairdresser. Oh, you're just blonde. You'll never be any good. Have children, started having children. What would you know about business, and what would you can't. I even had one of my siblings say to me once, after having 3 businesses, say to me, what would you know about teaching business? You were just a hairdresser. I'm sorry, what? I built them from scratch into thriving businesses. I had staff. I had quite a few staff. I know a thing or two about business. So yes, I know a lot about those sorts of struggles that people do have. And even and I bought into it a lot still, because I still, even though I had some successes with the hairdressing, I had successes with my dancing, I still didn't believe, because I thought I was a copycat, and I'm only good if I could copy something. And so then it wasn't until my 30s, and then I was allowing my children to be picked on by other kids and other mums. And I remember my oldest one, who was around 4 or 5 or 6, somewhere in there, and I sort of thought, because one thing I always wanted to be was a really great mum and have a really great relationship with my children. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, that I'm allowing this.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And then, you know, I just really beat myself up over that. And it was like, and people would say to me, Sonia, but you've always been like, well, I haven't, or I haven't been who I really should be. And wasn't until my 30s.
Right. But then it wasn't right. But then you weren't only being responsible for yourself. You had the other lives that were counting on you to make the best of it. And that's where the difference.
I brought souls into this world I was going to be very, 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 very responsible for. I didn't want them to be doing suiciding or cutting. I didn't want them to be doing a whole lot of other, you know, things that I had approached or other people that I have known approach. I didn't want them to be going down into that depression. You know, these are beautiful when they're babies. They don't know any different with anything. It's a lot of the times is what we're teaching them. Sure, they have
that they don't know the window that that glass that they're looking through is so pure and innocent, and they at that point they believe that they could do anything, which you know that is true. But then as they're little, oh no, don't do that, you're going to get hurt, don't you know don't climb too high, don't ride your bike too fast, you know,
especially with your first child. With your first child, you're so strict. We were. Come my third child, we were really quite different. And our third child is on the autism spectrum, very mild. But you learn from your mistakes. Yeah. And, you know, he often gives us a hard time over that. That's like, look, you know, you had so many other things in so many other ways. And I won't say his name, but you are still so talented and you don't have this holding you back.
Right.
And since you've been a young adult onwards, we have built you up and helped you so much. We haven't been saying the negative words. We haven't been holding you back. Right. All of those sorts of things. Move. You are so talented. Move forward. At least you don't actually have some sort of thing that's really holding you back that you can't achieve.
Right.
And so certainly by doing it the third child round, it's really quite different. And it can be done, and it is a lot of the words. There's the belief systems that we inadvertently give them as well as intentionally give them. And it's even the little words, the negative words. If you can try to omit them out of your language and try to have more positive words, there's a lot of barriers that can be broken.
And looking at, you know, and you've seen in families the differences between firstborn children and lastborn children with the same parents, you know, same general morals in the house, you know, same moral compass, but just the difference of how not hover, but, you know, you're more, you know, nervous about the first child and, you know, how you're doing things, so you're on top of it. But by the third one, you're a little more relaxed and laid back, and it makes a difference in how you talk with them and approach them and everything. It gives them more free reign. And then the older one's jealous. Hey, how come you let him get away with that and you didn't let me?
Hold on, but you were very spoiled.
Yeah, so that, you know what I mean? So, but again, some things are only natural, but if we notice and we see ourselves doing things, you know, that helps us be able to make sense of everything.
Absolutely. And, you know, it also comes down to forgiving yourself and forgiving others and move forward.
Exactly.
A lot of the time, I've even heard people say, a memory isn't real. I struggle with that because a memory at least means that something's happened. But one thing I've always said is you can only learn by the past. You cannot live in the past.
Right.
You cannot live in the past, and why let it control you? It's taken me nearly 40, 50 years to get to this point. But anyway, I was a bit slow that way. Cannot live in the past.
Right.
We can live right now, and right now is this minute. That's it. The present is this minute.
Right.
The very near future is the next minute, and that comes in a minute, the very near future. So we have some sort of control over the very near future and the next few hours, the next few days, the next few weeks. We don't have control over the whole lot of the future. And people say, well, you shouldn't live in the future, you should live for now. I say live right in this minute, but this is only a fleeting minute. It's very fleeting, and live in the near future. Be ready so that you can help yourself. You have to start with yourself. I was never taught that.
Right.
Some people still find that difficult, and sometimes that means for those people, and I understand that, they have to do the servant leadership and help others, and that way they then know how to help themselves. So come back to yourself, and then from there, then you can help others a whole lot more.
Exactly.
Don't just keep going forward without helping yourself. I didn't do that until my 30s. And I think back now and I go, gosh, I could have achieved so much more had I done that earlier.
Right. But some things happen when they are meant to happen. We don't have control over that, and it just says, life, again, has so much to offer us. We just need to be open to that. And it all comes down to helping people, and that's where I come from, is the service and wanting to help people be able to live to their full potential and having the best life that they can for themselves and for their children, and because our children are our future. And
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. It's a blessing. Life is a blessing to have right here, right now. And yes, there can be a whole lot worse. And how do you say, well, hey, to someone who is in a very worse situation, hey, you're still in a good place, or that there is worse, or that, gee, what you got is the raw deal, that sucks. I'm so sorry, you're the one that got it, that sucks. Well, there is a blessing in lots of different ways for everyone. And it's just finding that little bit of joy there somewhere. And even if it's a really, really, really horrible thing that has happened to someone, it's about then, okay, the rest of us have learned something there. How can we help others? And how can we help each other? Because there's still some sort of lesson there. Gosh, we're going deep now. But, you can put goals to all of these sorts of things.
Exactly. Exactly.
Personal life and professional life. I like helping people with business because it's a vehicle that's leverageable, that can help people in a lot of ways, in lots of ways. So it impacts your customer's life and all of their loved ones. It impacts your staff's life and all of their loved ones. It impacts you and your life and all of your loved ones. It impacts communities, local communities, where now if you've got that little bit of money that's been made there, you're going off and buying something else. It impacts communities. It impacts the microeconomy. So all those various communities together and all those industries together, which then impacts our macroeconomy, which means then we can live a bit more of the life we want to live, the quality of life, and to have a future to offer our children.
Right, exactly. And so how our conversation went, it went to what everyone has been dealing with, not knowing exactly what the future holds, and a lot of people have been in a very bad emotional state, financial state, and everything with what has happened with the pandemic. But the whole thing is to keep focused on your future and the future that of your children and grandchildren and future generations, because we need to move forward, even the little in a positive manner. So, and that's how just keeping that focus. And again, that's all leadership for it, taking leadership of ourselves. That's where it starts, and having that mindset and choosing. So I say our destiny, you design your destiny by the choices and decisions that you make, whether it be right now or the next minute. We are designing our destiny.
Absolutely, absolutely. The future is happening because it's those next minutes. we don't have control, but that is happening. And the right now is gone in a minute. And what has happened, all we can do is learn from that and move forward. Well, we know that the next couple of minutes are going to happen. How are we going to move forward? Positive. We've got two choices: be positive or not.
There you go.
Really,
And don't give up, because the very next minute is your next opportunity for that change. So think ahead and have that change happen within you for that next opportunity, the next minute.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying I'm perfect, absolutely not. But as I've gone through, but I've helped and I've been with a lot of other people and gone through. So I'm good at being able to stand back and just watch and try to figure out quite a few things as major sort of common denominators there, really. And it's okay. And this is where leadership, really great leadership, is where it really then takes on that next level. So if you're chipping away at the iceberg with an ice pick, and you're chipping and chipping and chipping, you're going, oh my gosh, the objective here is to crack the whole ruddy iceberg, but that's going to take forever. Oh my gosh, it's an overwhelm, one bite at a time, one chip at a time, chip, chip. But it's okay to just put it down and go, stuff, I'm exhausted. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I need a bit of time out. The best of leadership is that how you've gone about that someone else will see that and just go up and pick it up and just do it for you.
Exactly.
For a while. And then they'll put it down and go on. And even without having to be asked or, all of that, that's the leadership that Entre-Leadership is about. It's just taking that to the next level. But it means that we have to demonstrate the way. Exactly. Instead of going, whinge, and sure, it's okay to have your time out, or it's okay to go, look, I just can't. I just need to go and hide.
It's leading by example. And again, you and I, with what we do, we're not saying that we're perfect, but we are saying, you know what? We are human, just like you. We have our good days. We have our bad days, and I say I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I say that, no one's perfect. And it's just looking for that growth. And we always, every single one of us can always grow.
Yeah. And it's knowing what to sweat, what not to sweat, when to take stock, or to have an accountability buddy. I have, my family as my accountability buddy. Each of them have a different way that they look at things. So they keep me accountable in different ways, because I'm also a bit of a workaholic. And I escape into that because it's my piece of chocolate. It's what I find an incredible amount of energy and enthusiasm from, because that's how I used to be when I was younger, was it to escape in that, because my family didn't love each other. There was no happiness there or anything like that. So for lots of reasons. So, and apparently I get this look in my eye, and so my kids in particular, my daughter keeps me very accountable. She goes, Mum, stop it. Here now. You're here now with me. We're talking. I'm sorry, darling.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Well, I have, with my system, I have a peer-to-peer mentoring and accountability program that help people, because some people aren't fortunate enough to have people surround them that can understand their passion for what they're doing, that are also on the similar journey. It may not be in the same genre, but still to be that support system and accountability with that. And then I also have my empowerment network of other people that I network with internationally, that I do this, we do the same thing for each other, just like you and I being, we're on similar journeys, but we're in total different areas of the world. Sometimes you need that support and those other eyes and ears. So,
absolutely.
I'm so glad, Sonia, you were able to join me. Well, thank you, Sonia. Thank you for joining me today. And so, do you have anything for our viewers that you'd like to give them?
Absolutely. So hopefully you can still see me there. I've just lost my light, but that's fine. We're rolling it on.
Right.
We're going with the flow. Absolutely. So I would like to offer my checklist. It's a 17 game-changing EntreLeadership business strategies checklist.
Okay.
And with that, like I said, it's got the flavour of the EntreLeadership there, and it's a business strategies checklist. I also provide with it 8 business building tools. So part of that 8, I'll break down that 8. You've got 3 videos that accompany 3 tools. So 3 particular tools, and that are typically out there. Some people may know of them. So one of them is the SWOT, and some of the other ones you may not know of. But I do have the 3 videos that accompany it, showing how to use it in a different way. So with those particular tools, I like to give an extra spin on them and how to use them in a lot of ways that other people just don't teach. Plus also there's an additional 2 videos of business coaching to help keep you motivated and keep you focused. So with these, the tools, the videos, the coaching, the business coaching videos, and the checklist, yes, they're all there for business, but also you can use them if you just have a job, or that a lot of those things you can take them and use in your parallel and use them in your life, like the SWOT you can use in your life. Mm-hmm. So I'm offering your visitors that. And one last thing that I'd like to say with all of that, I came across this quote and then I added to it. So the quote is, "You didn't come this far to only come this far. So find the joy and move forward."
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for those gifts. Now, how can they get those gifts though?
I will forward you a URL so people can click on that, and then you'll need to just put the name and email, because I like to make sure that I send things out in a way that people can get them. And so I do like to do it through email rather than a direct download, so that, say, for example, if they can't do it, they then have my email and they know how to say, "Help, Sonia, can I have it another way?"
Okay.
So, yeah, all easy.
Well, wonderful. Again, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Patricia Jo Grover Show, where we turn believers into achievers with wonderful guests such as Sonia. And I have gifts for everyone who is a viewer with us today, and that you'll get right on the video right behind us here. But if you want more information about me, it's patriciajogrover.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.